All right. Welcome back to yet another edition of the Other League Pod. It's Nye. It's playoff week. It's would have been a little bit more exciting if you and I would be in it, but just as the host. But it's still an exciting time, I think, for the league that, you still get to see how this kind of shakes out in the next 3 weeks. So um yeah, I don't know. Share your thoughts. How's your feeling going into just covering this playoff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were hoping for a different result for both of us. But it is always really exciting
Always.
every year. Even if I'm not in the playoffs, it's cool to track um, the matchups and kind of like see what teams have advantages where, kind of put like, where your feel's at to the test. So that's always exciting. And then like you get towards the end, I mean, in the NFL season, these teams are pushing for playoffs too. So you can get these huge weeks that kind of shape how you feel toward the end of the season and then even going into next season because it's also the time for the teams that are out to kind of be keeping their feelers out and eyes open for what's going to happen, come 2025. But we're a long way from that, but it's cool. We got a lot of good matchups and there's a lot of good teams that are in this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we got a lot to look forward to here with the playoffs starting this week and actually starting tomorrow. So I think we
Mhm.
should maybe just kind of see maybe just kind of recap last week a little bit here. Just how do we get to where we are with these teams? Most of it was kind of straightforward, but um, let's kind of just break down a little bit. I'll just go quick. I mean, I needed to beat Anth. We'll start off from the top. Just get into my matchup just real quick, just brief. And kind of the story of the season for me. I just that 115 mark is just not gonna win you every week. And Anthony just absolutely shit on me. I mean, his team just went off this week, and Puka Nacua especially. My God, he's an animal. He's so good.
Top five, top five player in 2025 easily.
100%. He's unbelievably good. I mean, just
Yeah.
watching that game, it's kind of fun. It kind of was nice to a lot of points. Obviously, we'll get to this week, but or last week, but the wide receiver position, I should say, was kind of fun. I mean, a lot of guys went off, and kind of we backtrack a little bit from our initial takeaways, I should say, and not to say that they're still not accurate, but wide receivers definitely scored this week, I would say, in a lot of these matchups. I mean, I will just put up a quick point totals really just to see some of it, but yeah, major takeaway. Jefferson was nice. That was a nice start. 1 o'clock's looked good. My running backs just didn't get it done on the 4 o'clocks in the late game, so is what it is. 2 years in a row, salty taste not to make the playoffs again, but 6 games in a row. I did it to myself. It's just disappointing. And uh, Anthony somehow now gets to share the dress in a crazy twist. uh, so,
Unprecedented.
yeah, pretty unprecedented. But in any case, yeah, I'm sure Anthony, as he said in the group text, I mean, too little, too late, and this is without CMC. So, yeah,
Yep.
unfortunate we didn't get to see Ant's true team all year.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. We were zapped of a lot of Puka production because man, like you watch him play, like
Stud.
there he's a stud, and there's like in his role in that offense with Stafford, like there's not many players that are similar to Puka in the NFL. Like he does like everything, and he's like a very like specific body type. When you watch him, like he's huge over the middle, but he has enough like finesse to make catches on the sideline. Like he's ridiculous. And it was cool to see Chuba Hubbard and Rashad White kind of get there, but yeah, it's tough for Anth. Brutal for you. That's that 6 game loss.
Crazy.
Not having a win, since week 7 or week 8, whatever it was. Like that's just a tough way to go. But yeah, I mean, so who's doing the song?
It sounds like it's a conjoined song. I guess they're writing it
Okay.
together. Maybe certain
Okay.
certain spots they're going to be singing together and not together. I don't know. I got the
Okay.
the visit of the commish briefly while he was home this past weekend.
Nice.
That's kind of where we're doing that breakdown. Like with Ben, we're like, you know what, if you choose to not, I guess, play anyone or whatever he was doing, I guess, or contemplating,
Yeah.
um, it really only affects you finishing last, and Anthony still needs to beat me. So, and it didn't have any actually bearing on playoffs. I mean, Ben's matchup was, if Andy and his matchup just, chose seeding. So,
Hmm.
no effect really on playoffs, realistically. And everything kind of worked out for Anthony. At least not the only victim, we'll say, of the start of the draft and some of the entertainment. But yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I think Logue saw the opportunity to to I guess highlight himself during the draft day, and he was close enough to the bottom. Why not join him?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
um,
appreciate him keeping Brock Bowers in his lineup though. Uh
yeah,
appreciate
keeper.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
pretty much already can sticker that up to the next year's draft board.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'll be a keeper for next year. All right,
Yep.
let's go. Not much to say. I mean, we could really skip through this. I mean, we obviously just touched on it. The Bastards forfeited this week, we'll say, and yeah, I mean, for Nils' sake, just go to that. I mean, 127 is a nice mark. Correndo and was a nice little play, but more to come this week if he's going to be able to, what his lineup's going to be if and when he doesn't play, because I don't think he is. At least all
Hmm.
signs are, on a Thursday night game, probably unlikely is kind of the news I was hearing early this morning. I don't know if anything changed since then, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I saw he was he was
Questionable. Okay.
questionable. So there might be a chance that he plays.
Yeah.
But either way, it's that'll be tricky for
Gets
I mean,
Robinson
because if he
back this
starts,
week.
he's in. Yeah. So,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
yep. But I
Yeah.
think I think his outlook kind of looking, pretty solid, I think, for Nils's team. I remember I said last week I didn't think his team was as bad as it maybe originally thought. I'm not huge on Keenan or that, Bears passing offense, but he's got a good matchup with DK in theory. CeeDee Lamb in theory has a good matchup, and then Kyler has a good matchup with the stack with McBride. So, um,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I think Nils might that 127 mark that he put up last week, I think might be a little bit stickier than the lower scores that he had as he kind of weathered some injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's a good output, like Noel said in the group, just to get to 120, 130 really is kind of what he was flirting with. So, I mean, more to come. He's got some depth, like I said, with Robinson if Guarendo doesn't play, but he just looked so dynamic last week. I guess I mean it was against the Bears, but
Mm,
um not known necessarily to be an awful defense. But yeah, more to come. We'll get to the matchups, I guess, for the playoffs. Arby's, man, what an explosion. Pretty much just solidified the third seed, which was kind of big. I mean, I guess, in terms of matchups, I mean, I don't know in the playoffs and fantasy football if you have a preference of who you play and who you don't play. Um, I guess I would want to be avoiding really just Steve in terms of the first round, but
yeah.
everyone's got a pretty solid team. I don't think anyone's I'd stack everyone up pretty equally, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if anyone, came through at this point in terms of the seven teams that made it. But yeah, Arby's is hot, man. Arby's got a good both these guys got good teams, but I
Yeah.
think Arby's team is real good. Charbonnet, man. He won me a spot in the playoffs in another league, but I mean,
Nice.
unbelievable. Like, can you not
Dude.
like how are they not giving just like letting him ride? I mean, he
Yeah,
looks
it
so
was
good.
it was interesting. I saw that they were like they might be rethinking their running back rotation, kind of making Charbonnet sort of like their main down back, and then using Kenneth Walker in sort of like a change of pace kind of like breather back role. Not necessarily like a full workhorse role for Charbonnet, but just like adjusting their roles just because of how good Charbonnet has looked. And I mean, he's just a machine. Like you watch him run, he looks very similar to James Conner. And like
Yeah, good
that
comparison.
combination with Chase Brown and Jalen Hurts is just a metronome of scoring 20, 25, 25 plus. So yeah, and even in a down week for T. Higgins, like yeah, RB's team is like cruising. They got some serious juice going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dre is what it is. Kind of a down week, 106. His projection was 110, so it sort of hit on it. And yeah, I mean, we'll get to his matchup, but the Brees Hall, another injury that he has to kind of look out for here because
Yep.
Cream Hunt's not the Cream Hunt, obviously with Pacheco back in terms of the backfield and what they're doing, and he's just going to be ramped up as he was this past week. So, yeah, that's a pretty big hole for Dre to fill if once again he has to this week. So,
Yep.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, two teams that are real solid. Arby's is humming, I think.
Yep. Yep.
a matchup I was watching almost as equally as much as mine, um, all last weekend. Damn man,
Yep.
Ryan's just sticking it to us. Guys, I picked him obviously more of a psychological thing, but I mean 142, it's a hell of a number, and he just guys are just hitting. I mean, the Addison play I still think is just absurd, but the last 4 weeks he's been incredible.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean
Yeah.
that's a huge, and then Jennings too. I mean, those guys we talked about, kind of his wide receiver. I mean, if he's getting that kind of production from those two guys, I mean, obviously not 40 and 30, but yeah, guys that
Yeah.
are at least viable, and then you're going to plug back in Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Not a bad position to be in. And Bucky Irvin went out, so you could have Rashad White got a lot of work after that, so he would have.
Hmm.
I'm sure Irving would have probably added to that total. And you had a good start, man. I was rooting for you. Jacobs could have had four. We'll say that,
Yeah.
which would have been a hell of a start. And then the rest of your team. I mean, 127. That's a hell of a score.
Yeah. I was could have picked up another few points. I was between obviously Arizona and Seattle, but I think I had Seattle in there and changed it last minute. But man, Ryan, it's funny how I say it every week how like the last week or last 2 weeks can kind of really shape how you view a team going forward. Similar to Nils's team, like 3 weeks ago, we would have thought these teams, they get in the playoffs, they're probably, they're going to get bounced pretty quick because their roster doesn't look strong. And then you have a few good performances from some of your guys. Like even if he's getting like, I mean, he's been getting sort of almost wide receiver one, high end two production uh from Addison the last 4 weeks. And then he
Every two
gets,
weeks ago,
yeah, and then freaking um Jawan
Jennings
Jennings like stabilizing his like wide receiver one and two. Like
really solid.
Jennings
Yeah,
has, yeah. So that's been huge for Ryan's outlook. And I think he's another team who's got like he's got some serious momentum going in the playoffs. He was on a skid for a while
yep,
before the last 2 weeks, and then he kind of turned it around, and now his team's looking pretty hot. So yeah, it was a true win and I think Ryan kind of solidified his spot in the playoffs with a really good performance. And for me, like I think it was obviously a disappointing year. Everyone kind of dealt with injuries. Was frustrating that I never got Neighbors and AJ Brown and Collins together. But JSN was a huge pickup for me. I wish I could keep him, but
yep,
it just kind of was too little too late. And I think, for me, I probably would have beat a few other teams if I didn't play Ryan, but my playoff chances were really slim. Even going into this, I would have had to just score a ton of points, and that was tough. I think I was down like 50. I would have had to make up like a 50-point difference with Rick and like a
yep,
40-point difference with Phil. So, but yeah, I mean, it was glad I'm fielding at least a good roster, kind of going toward the last week of the year. So, tough year, but we'll see. We'll see moving
yeah,
into 2025. Hopefully, Collins or Neighbors will be on my team next year. Very likely.
yeah. I mean, you got two really, really viable, options in terms of receivers, and Josh Jacobs. I mean, hey, you never know. I
Yeah.
mean, he's getting a
I
ton of work, so
he's become one of my favorite players in the NFL now.
he's so good.
We're just having him like every year. I kind of like gravitate towards players. Last year it was Anthony Richardson, and David Montgomery last year, and then this year it's been Josh Jacobs. He's been awesome to watch. Like
He's
he
a
he
hammer.
didn't score for like the first 8 weeks, and they're just leaning on him every week, and he's been a monster. So it's gonna be fun. The Packers moving into the playoffs. But yeah, tough year, and see if we can turn around next year.
Yeah, yeah. Both the hosts will just be talking about other teams the next couple weeks.
That's it. That's it.
Um, we'll get in. I mean, we'll quickly run through this. I mean, Colombian White, just unbelievable how he
Had a
goes out there.
chance. Had a chance.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And let's. I really want to just break down his team a little bit. Because was there moves to be made? Let's just say, was there moves to be made? I mean, Bo Nix was on bye, and I can't
Yeah, it
imagine.
sucks.
Kirk Cousins was the play. Obviously, I mean, Will Levis, I'm sure outscored Kirk Cousins. Um, I can't imagine what Kirk Cousins actually put up. I mean, he
Should have,
threw.
yeah. In
I mean, in theory, I think he probably outscored Kirk Cousins. I
in
don't know if that.
in
Go
theory,
ahead.
I guess he should have played Rodgers. I
True.
know.
True.
I'm not sure if he had Rodgers and dropped him for someone. I can't recall. But that obviously would have been a better play than Levis. But I get the play with Levis. I even said it on the pod last week that
Yep.
I
Yep.
would I would be playing Levis in that spot. But yeah,
Not much I
brutal. They just
not much else I can criticize him for, to be
yeah
honest with you. I wanted to look at his team just because I was like, you know what, you lose by a point and you just look at yourself and you're like, all right, what could I have done? Obviously there's weeks before it, but we're just kind of looking here and yeah, I mean, the quarterback carousel really honestly bites him in the ass towards the end of the
yeah
season here in the last week. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, it sucks. I can't believe that, that short little pass at the minute mark of the game against Kansas City and Rick's in. And Phil was putting up
insane.
pretty respectful scores all year, as we mentioned. He just, was kind of on the wrong side of the games, but still putting up some pretty respectful weeks here and there. And yeah, tough for Phil. I mean, I think locking up a 7th seed with the season he had, and then losing and still, coming up a little bit short. Bitter, it's bitter
Yeah, it
taste in his
sucks.
mouth, I would say. Yeah, and then
It sucks. He did. I will admit, Phil made some nice plays. Kind of righted the ship to even get him in that position. Waddle has a big game finally for him. He's been kind of twiddling around with his flex sort of play. With or like his wide receiver 2 spot.
yep,
Thielen comes on. He obviously has McLaurin on the bye, but yeah, it's I think respectable way that he righted the ship, and I think he far exceeded my expectations for where his team was kind of around midseason.
yeah, I would piggyback that. I think he's always kind of looked as a manager that might be never really is a threat, and I think he, to your point, definitely looked a little shaky early in the season, kind of maybe a front runner for last place, early, at least initially. And then you're right, he really turned it around and put up a pretty respectful team. I mean, losing by a point in the point total, it's he was right there. I mean, he's right there. He's putting up points. So, yep, on
Yep.
to maybe a new team and a new name next year, Phil. We'll more to come with that, but and then Riggs just keeps on trucking, man. This team's a machine. I hate to keep saying it because I do not. But I just every time I look at Steve's team, I just think it's unbelievable. I mean, he did puts up 158 with Reed putting up 0. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just absurd. And Josh Allen, I mean, he is an alien. Whatever McVay called him is absolutely true. I mean, the guy's incredible. He should win the MVP. I mean,
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
I think he's currently the betting favorite, and he's probably got a. I mean, even if he gets like nicked up and like has like a hand injury and misses a couple weeks or whatever, like you know he's gonna win MVP. But as long as he stays healthy and like realistically, like he's it's crazy because you watch these players who like in his similar stature with like Cam Newton and like even like Carson Wentz to an extent, like these guys who are like huge and take hits, like but he doesn't like take massive hits and he's so smart and slippery with his running. Like, man, he's just what a machine. Like just truly a machine.
Sup,
One of
pussies?
one player.
What an intro.
Sorry to interrupt your little podcast.
There he is. Santa's little
What
helper.
up?
What's going
Back
on,
by
shit?
popular demand.
Because
What's
we're
going
about
on?
this is
We're
honestly
just recapping your brother's team.
yeah.
And we'll talk about your matchup with him
Save it,
in
save
round
it.
one.
We're about to get to it real soon.
Yeah.
Rick, we just kind of recapping how we got to the playoffs. So perfect timing, great segue. Always perfect timing by you. We're getting right to your matchup, which pretty uneventful for you considering what Aaron did you. But I mean, what was your emotions on that final drive? I mean, you had it down to the wire, and literally the last offensive play goes Travis Kelce.
I was googling suicide hotlines and asking Google AI why I care so much about fantasy football. Just I texted Andy and Steve, I hate fantasy football in all caps. And then 30 seconds later, I texted him, I love fantasy football. I couldn't believe it. I had completely given up hope. I had completely given up. I was like, you know what? Next year, I'm not even going to pay attention. I'll still come on and do the ad reads and have fun with the guys, but I don't care anymore. I'm not even. And now I'm doing draft analysis for next year because I'm back in. It was huge.
Yeah.
Saved by my white knight again. It was beautiful. And Patrick, my old white knight, half white. I love those guys.
Yeah, how fitting it turns out to be your white tight end that gets you that 1 point for you. But it's honestly incredible though for the first time as a league having 7 teams and the 7th seed like that to play out and again just another devastating blow to Phil. I want to just reiterate that again. I mean, incredible. This is an incredible.
Dude, 1.5 points. That's like what 0.1% or something like that of your points overall for the year. Like that's
it's
crazy.
Unbelievable.
It came down to that.
That's a catch for 5 yards.
Yeah.
And the variance in like an NFL game, like that literally could have just been a pass to Noah Gray. And
what would have been crazy is if he didn't catch that, like say it went incomplete and they kicked the field goal, the game's over. I would have lost to Phil by 0.2.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. So it was good. It was good. I just wanted I wanted to survive for Lamar. Lamar deserves. He got us here. He deserves a playoff run here. So.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. I mean,
we deserve a playoff run with Lamar.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few guys that I'm already going to be a little upset that aren't going to be in the playoffs to watch in the next couple of weeks, but there's a few guys that I'm excited for, Lamar being one of them. And then Aaron on the other side. I mean, this might be the worst take you've ever had, Snyder. Jamar Chase is unbelievably good.
Yeah. Every week you're back on that.
He's going to win the Triple Crown. I mean, or maybe he might, I guess, depending on what happens at the end of the year with them and where they're at. But he's leading the league in receptions. He's leading the league in receiving yards and in touchdowns. He's unguardable. Every time I watch him play, he's unguardable. And honestly, if they were a little bit better, Joe Burrow would be getting talked about a lot more too.
Yes. Yeah. I think even with as bad as their team is, Burrow has been like arguably he's like solid MVP candidate. But yeah, I mean, or he could thank me for the reverse jinx to elevating him to stratospheric levels after I said, what has he done to be thought about as a top 5 receiver? He has shit on that and shit on me and just stuffed it down my throat. So you're welcome, Aaron, for the season that Chase has where he goes nuclear and could potentially carry you to a championship.
So I saw this stat. This is on the Sleeper app, so not all fantasy, but 0.4% of teams on Sleeper finished the regular season undefeated. 29.5% of those teams had Jamar Chase. So obviously,
he's insane. League winner.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Sam Darnold, what an absolute joke. I mean,
I'm pissed because I had Darnold for this week. I was planning ahead for week 14, and I dropped him for Jaylen Warren or something because I need a running back. But
yeah, it's unbelievable. Aaron's affection for redheaded quarterbacks. Like I feel like Andy Dalton that one year against me.
That was the year he won, man.
Darnold.
He's got that redhead fire going, man.
Is Darnold his main guy? Who's his backup?
Well, he's got Purdy.
He's got Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
So he'll probably play Purdy most weeks, but I don't know. Darnold's
I would play Darnold.
Yeah, Darnold's firing, man.
He had a couple in the middle of the season, like he cooled off, but like he's been solid.
Yeah, where's Darnold at in points per game? Is he a quarterback 1 in fantasy? He's got to be.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let me open this up.
My guess is like 6.
Yeah, I guess I would guess he's like.
Are we going
average? 9. Nah, points per game.
Points per game average.
Yeah, and 6 point. Can you filter that?
He's at 19. He's down at 7 here.
Oh yeah, he's at 7.
7. Damn.
That's really good.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's. Honestly, I mean, what an absolute exclamation point! Might I add that Aaron scored the most points in the entire year for a week. So 170 was the highest. He just outdid, I think, Arby's 2 weeks ago had like 168 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. But
yep.
Aaron takes most points for the week for the season, takes most points overall, so a double payout there, and he locks up the only bye. So pretty crazy week for the Goose. He can have a few. He can have a few this week.
All this with Kmet having a 0 and without Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
What a wild stat too. Well, he got 90 out of his quarterback and Chase. So,
right. Yeah, it certainly helps.
Unbelievable. But the Blizz is in, and now
Blizz is in.
Aaron did say. Aaron did make a statement.
There you go.
Since we just talked about him. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I did speak with the owner of the Geese here. After honking at me like a goose, he expressed that, quote, nothing changes with the Gooses on a week off. We'll still be crushing beers, analyzing, and stressing out about our roster performance. He also said they're putting a particular focus on tracking which teams are staying hot. Right now, he's got a keen eye on the shit Blizzard and Riggs matchup, as he does not want to face the Blizzard at any point in the near future. He was also heard laughing to his players and joking about how pathetic Arby's is. Now he hopes to play them for an easy playoff win.
Nice. Starting the next chapter here. I don't think he will. We reseed, don't we? No.
Yes, we should. So, yeah, we should.
I believe we do, but he wouldn't get the Arby's matchup till the final if he gets there. So That'd be an interesting final. And do we have anything from any of our sponsors, Rick, before we start the playoff preview?
We do. We do. Yeah, this is one I'm particularly excited about. I don't think Snyder's going to like this one either. But again, I just, whoever's going to pay us money and keep this thing afloat, I'm going to take the deal. So, all right. Let me find this. All right. Hold on. Let me get in the right headspace here. All right, boys. I've got 2 words for you. Plausible deniability. Let me explain. Are you sick of that bitch living in your house, barking shit at you all day? Are you tired of her keeping you up all night? Licking in her sleep? Are you ready to end it all? Does she have fleas? Well, fret no more, my friends, because we've teamed up with Canine Advantix on their new product, Plausible Deniability. Now you can kill your bitch dog without having to rough her up or do anything inhumane. Just wrap a full box of these bad boys in a nice slice of grass-fed organic American cheese and watch as that dumbass gobbles it down. In less than 1 hour, your dog-free life can finally begin. With conveniently confusing directions, no one will ever blame you for accidentally feeding your ex-pet 1 box instead of 1 pill. I'm going to skip the rest of the sales pitch and cut right to the chase with a testimonial from our own commissioner, Lord Winchester. Lord Winchester writes, when I first heard about plausible deniability, I thought it was too damn good to be true. But when my dumbass dog literally shit the bed last month, I had finally had enough. 1 pack of PD and little Freddie was deader than a doorknob and way deader than my daddy Stan. When the cops showed up, they were none the wiser. All they found was your everyday run-of-the-mill flea medicine. No signs of a struggle, no strangulation marks, no mess. Thanks, Canine Advantix. Hold on. Thanks, Canine Advantix, for helping me kill my dog. Act fast, because for a limited time, our listeners get a free shovel and a used Amazon box when you use that promo code OL69ers at checkout. Back to you, G.
Incredible. It's incredible where you find these sponsors, but I mean, we'll take free money anytime. So, what do you think of that sponsor compared to the last one Rick brought to us? Wow.
I preferred the last one.
There you go, Rick. There's some constructive criticism for you. But God, that's hilarious. No mess got me so bad. I was dying during that. Let's get into the playoffs. Here we go. Let's get into the playoffs. We got. Let's see who hasn't won a title. Let's just go through that real quick before we make the matchups. Beeve and Andy. So you. That's it.
That's it.
So three out of the 7. Wow.
Also of note, we've got 2 sets of brothers in the playoffs.
Yeah, we do. A lot of brothers, though. So I guess that's kind of probably relatively common. I don't know. I have to look back on that. It's a good question.
We'll
Let's take
Ryan.
Yeah, League Historian.
Brian, check that for us. I know you're watching.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, I think the year I won, I think I beat Phil in the first round, but I could be misremembering.
Okay. Well, let's see. There's got to be a year that there's 2 sets, but we'll check. We'll fact check that.
Matchup's tight.
This is gonna be a really interesting matchup. I got to think that. I don't know. I mean, as these 2 teams kind of line up, I think this is going to be a pretty even matchup. What's the Breece Hall update, Sny? What do you got?
I'd be surprised if he played.
No
the old Brick said he's still dealing with some stuff. I'd be surprised if Breece played. At least I'd be stunned if he played this week. It wouldn't surprise me if they put him on IR to for the rest of the year.
So does Andy rule out Davis or Hunt?
Probably Davis.
I mean, he can't Bigsby. I don't know.
Or Tank Bigsby. Yeah.
This is gonna be an interesting switch for Andy, man. That's tough. He's dealt with injuries all year and going right into the playoffs after he's been pretty hot. I mean, he's on a really nice run up until that Arby's loss last week, but that's going to be a huge hurdle for him. And then on the flip side, I mean, we just talked about Garenda. I mean, I guess Najee. I guess you could just throw Najee in. I mean, Eagles aren't the greatest matchup, but I'd be comfortable with the starting running back.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
He's got to get
I'd almost be playing. I personally, for me, I would consider Najee over Keenan Allen, like straight up. Because I mean, Najee's probably going to get 20 carries again. So,
what did Keenan do last week? I know Rome. Nothing. I know Rome caught the 2.
Right.
Damn. I like the Jets D against the Jags though in this matchup.
Yeah.
I don't love Philly as much, even though they'll probably win. But Pittsburgh, I feel like Pittsburgh's decent. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there'll be some points in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, what do you do with AJ Brown? Because how do you view AJ Brown now? Do you still view him as like a top 12 receiver? I mean, I guess you have to, and like his talent, and like Pittsburgh's a pretty decent spot, but I mean, they haven't been on the same page. But it could be a squeaky wheel situation this week. You know what I mean?
Just gonna say that I think AJ Brown's gonna go off this week. If there's anyone on like Andy's team that I look at, I'm not really too worried about. It's probably AJ Brown. I mean, Daniels has a good matchup. I think Brown eats. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was Hurts or AJ came out and said we're all good. So I feel like they'll look for him a little bit more. They kind of have to if they're going to start getting that offense rolling before playoffs. Devontae's looked really good the last couple of weeks, so
yeah,
I like that spot. Achan's been a monster. Yeah, Breece is really his only downfall, and then his tight end spot. I mean, Taysom Hill would have been just a Swiss Army knife to throw in there in the playoffs. So unfortunately, it has to go back to Ferguson. But and Myers in Atlanta, that's a good matchup too. So Andy got some good matchups. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm concerned about Jacoby. Just kind of. I mean, Myers has been awesome. I think he's still like one of the most underrated receivers in the league. But he's got Desmond Ridder coming back, playing Atlanta in a theoretical revenge game. But I think he has Desmond Ridder. Is it for sure Ridder?
I mean, if O'Connell's out, which I believe he is,
okay,
it's Ridder.
I wasn't sure O'Connell's status, but
Not sure either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I still think Myers could at least get there with his normal volume, at least like put out like a solid flex play. But I think, man, I think Jaden Daniels like off a bye like could come out and have, you know, like a solidifying offensive rookie of the year kind of performance, where he gets up into like that high 20, 30 point range. But I think both these teams are going to put up like 120, 125. I think it's
Such
going
a
to be
tough
tight.
one. Such a tough one to call. Like I'm like looking at it too. Like I don't love some of the matchups for on Nils' side, but like there's also going to be that pretty glaring hole as his RB2 for Andy. So
Yeah, if it
it's
weren't
tough.
for Brees Hall, it's Andy. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
makes it
agree.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm split.
I'd
I'm
hurt him
kind of
losing
split here.
Eckler too because he doesn't. Who's it? He's got and then Hunt too with
Yeah,
Pacheco back.
he's probably gonna have to play Tank Bigsby or
Who's
Davis,
his?
I guess.
Is it? Is
Yeah.
it?
I mean, Tank got
Did
18
Hunt-
rushes last week.
Did Hunt do anything last week, or was it all Pacheco?
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
didn't remember
14.
seeing him
I
much.
think 14 out of 24 like touches were Pacheco. So it's like slowly starting to get back to just like a 1 and
Yeah.
2.
I don't.
So-
Yeah, I don't know how you can start Kareem Hunt. I think it would probably be between Isaiah Davis and Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah, it's
Are we giving picks or
yeah,
you got more
absolutely,
analysis?
absolutely. No, let's take away.
This is assuming Garendo plays. I'm going to pick Nils, because I think Garendo is in a pretty good spot. The guys that they have, even if he's like a little banged up, I don't know if they would divvy touches like evenly. They've just been leaning on one dude whenever they're healthy, and I legitimately think this is a week that McBride gets in the end zone finally, and this could be a good bounce back spot for Kyler too. So. I like Nils. I think same with DK. Like he's just got guys who have positive touchdown regression coming, and I think this could be a week where he gets that. And even Brian Robinson's in a pretty good spot in New Orleans. So I'm gonna pick Nils.
Rick,
This is tough.
it's tough.
I want Andy to win. But I think Nils is going to win. I got Nils.
Yeah, I'll split. I think Andy, maybe if he has a couple big weeks, from his top 3 guys there, or 4 guys, I should say, with Achane, he might be able to weather the storm with Brees Hall being out. But it's gonna be tough. I'm rooting for Andy, although both managers don't have a other league win, so kind of rooting for one of those 3 guys to take a new title, new title holder, I should say. But I'll go with Andy. I'll split the difference. Yeah, I mean, I love the 8-man historical fact from Ryan this morning. League must have been real tough back then when there was 8 of you guys in it. I'll say that.
Rosters were utterly stacked.
The points were ridiculous.
I can't imagine. I mean, we need to look back at that, actually. I mean, I guess I never went back that far because for me, it was like I wasn't even in it. And what was the point of looking back? But I got to imagine your teams were probably ridiculous back then. But in any case, this is definitely a historical matchup. Tiburon and Arby's. This is 2 really, I think, maybe 2 of the hottest teams outside of the top 2. I mean, besides Steven and Aaron, who have been just, kind of coasting all year. I mean, these guys are kind of rounding into shape, especially, I mean, I think Arby's a little bit more so than Tiburon. I mean, Tiburon got it right the last couple of weeks, but Arby's have just been on that trend. I know Rick probably hates hearing that. But yeah, Arby's is looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. Kind of just staring down this. I know Ryan's team like by heart now at this point. Kind of just broke them down the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Great matchups.
And this projection is also not factoring in that Kenneth Walker is probably going to be out. Right. I assume, and if so, I mean Charbonnet is probably projected for like at least eight more points, 14 probably.
Yep.
So this could be a 127 to 113 projection. So, man. Ben's got a lot of guys in a lot of good spots.
I
got Ben.
Agree with that.
Yeah, I have Ben too.
Because I'm going to take him down at some point. It'll be.
I would love to see a playoff matchup between you guys. I'm going to side with Ben as well. I think the Cooper Cup, just the momentum type situation, and Jennings, like that's going to be an interesting matchup starting tomorrow. Just to see where, hopefully that's a kind of a par setting for both of those guys. I think that's what Arby's would want to come out with, because then the rest of his, to your point, the rest of his lineup looks awesome. Like Charbonnet against the Packers, St. Brown and Laporta going against Buffalo, all kinds of points in that game. Chase Brown at Tennessee, who's been, I would say that's probably his MVP. I mean, Chase Brown has been incredible.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I would say, regression, if you're going to give Charbonnet like kind of a tick up, I mean, T. Higgins at 15, like that's kind of a crazy number. Just with all the targets that Chase is getting lately. But yeah, I mean, Arby's is in a really good matchup, but I really don't want to look down on Ryan's team anymore, because every time I do it, he just makes me look like a fool, and his team puts up like 150. So he's gonna go with Caleb. Interesting play. You kind of mentioned that last week, Sny, about streaming him.
Yeah, I am a little concerned about Williams in this spot. Rookies against Brian Flores in prime time. We'll see. Caleb's actually been playing okay. He hasn't been turning the ball over. I don't think he's thrown a pick in like the last. When did he threw his last pick against Minnesota? And then no.
Yeah.
Scroll up. He's thrown his last pick against Jacksonville before the bye.
Yeah.
He hasn't thrown a pick since the bye, which is pretty insane. But he's been taking a ton of sacks, and that's a tough spot. But I think Arby's team is just they're a train right now.
Yeah, I agree. Let's chalk for all three of us, and then here we go. The
matchup of the week, man.
Brotherly matchup. I can't be rooting for you harder. I'll be honest with you, Rick. I cannot see Steve win. He's got a good team, man. He's got a juggernaut, but I think you're. I mean, if your receivers play, I mean, I think this should be a fun one. It should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them not playing again. I think McConkey was close last week.
Yeah,
Evans will play.
Evans should play through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ladd should play too. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
Ladd sat last week, and Tampa Bay's been just awful against the pass. So I think you're in a good spot there if they both play.
My only question is Mooney
DJ?
over Mooney or Moore, yeah. But like they're both kind of boom or bust. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, the good news is
it's been pretty good. So
you get two Monday night games, so you can kind of go down to the wire and see if you want to change it till Monday.
So that's why I moved him down there.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's always fun. Takes a little of the decision making out because you can just wait till Monday. But God, Riggs' team. Let's go through his team. I mean, this team's so stacked. You're gonna have to see some points on tomorrow night. I mean, he's got Kittle, who's been incredible, and Kyron. So, got to imagine
I can get Montgomery to get all the goal line work and get all the touchdowns and cancel out Gibbs.
That's gonna be an interesting one. Yep,
possible.
But they both seem to get like one or two each every game.
I think this is
crazy. Touchdowns those two get.
They're RB1s, both of them, which is incredible. Interesting note. I mean, he's got to play Harrison Sny, or he's slotted Harrison in. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's not going to go with Reed. Pickens is out,
right?
So he's got to play. He's got to play another wide receiver. It's either Reed or, I mean, New England at home. I mean, not a scary matchup, but I mean, Christian Gonzalez has probably got to be on him, right?
Yeah, I would assume. Man. Harrison's just had such a strange season. Like I thought the game against Miami, I have him in another league. I sat him and he just cooked Jalen Ramsey. So he seems like he's due for a solid game. And I think, the way, fortune kind of plays in to fantasy a little bit. I think the way maybe Steve's team's been performing and hitting, where he could plug the guys in. Maybe this is a week that Harrison scores, and then he's got a really good spot with Sutton and Indy. So I mean, I think his receivers are pretty solid. And then Rico Dowdle's been arguably one of the stories of his late season. He's got a good spot against Carolina. He's been, pretty much a workhorse the last 3 weeks. So, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Harrison's in, and he needs that game that he drafted him for, pretty much.
Yep. I think Rick, you're going to really need like Taylor and Kelce this week. I think like they both those guys need to give you some good points.
I drafted.
Yeah, I mean, we're just saying like those guys, like you can't afford a dud week from either one of those guys this week. I mean, Kelce should give you double digits. Taylor's been pretty good, though, I think, right? I mean, he had a couple dud weeks. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's been okay.
I know he's been hurt. Yep. Yeah, I mean, at Denver, not exactly the best matchup that you want to see, but I mean, I think that's going to be. I think that's the biggest play here. I mean, I think otherwise I'm kind of looking at Lamar at the Giants, man. But I mean, Josh Allen's going to eat too. I mean, at Detroit.
It's going to be a high scoring game.
You got to hope Lamar gets points early too, though, and just they don't like sit him or something stupid like that, like late in the game.
Yeah. They're 16-point favorites on the road, I think. Was the last time I saw the 16? Line, which is absurd. Yeah, because I think it was 15 when Drew Lock was projected to start.
Oh yeah,
and then Tommy DeVito is now announced, and I think the line actually moved a full point. Let me check. Yeah, it's 16 right now.
That's wild. That's crazy.
That's one of the largest lines I can remember.
Well, I'm going with Rick
for a road team.
I'm taking the shit, Blizzard.
I'm gonna pick Steve. There you go.
All right. Well, I mean, what do we want to dive into here, Snai? I mean, we went through the matchups. I mean, there's really not much else. I mean, kind of touched on some players. I mean, I guess overall outlook. I mean, the Goose is the only team that we didn't touch on because he got the bye. But
right.
I mean, where should we go from here? What do you guys want to talk about? Is there anything we should hit on before we try to wrap this up? Any inspiring things for your team this week, Rick? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, what do you got?
How you feeling?
Well,
You're only playoff manager here.
We feel good. We just got to keep on shit. Just got to keep shitting. Keep on shitting.
We can all use those words.
I think Lamar's going to put up a huge game. I don't know. I'm happy either way. Yeah. I'm glad I made it here. I was so excited when Kelce caught that ball. I couldn't sleep that night. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's got to be exhilierating.
And then I had to go to Disney the next day, 4 hours later. So it was rough, but it was worth it.
Yeah, tough day. Real tough day you had to follow up with. Just a trip to Disney World. Didn't sound too hard to me. But
you don't have 4 children.
That's all. Well, yeah, valid. That's actually very valid. Cool. Any takeaway, anything that you're thinking about possibly, I would say extend, maybe the footage or anything that you have maybe pre-planned for Steve this week, or hopefully it's shared. I got to mention, there's got to be something up your sleeve.
Yeah, you got me on a little bit of short notice this week, I will admit. Luckily, that ad read came through. I don't know how they got
huge
so quickly.
Huge.
Shout out K9 Advantix. But I may have something in the works for Steve.
What do you want to hear?
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy was 4'11" in high school, all right, and he's 4'11" in my heart, and yeah, 4'11", 160, I think, something like that. I'm gonna roll through him this week. It's not even gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah, I gotta. God, that's hilarious. I do sometimes think about the old Steve like that, and pretty sure Logan envisions him like that still to this day, which is hilarious. Yeah, I can't believe you guys are matching up together too, which is kind of funny. Steve's got a powerhouse. I'll say that. I think you'd be doing the league a favor, at least the teams that are in the playoffs, if you take Steve out this week. I think a lot of people would be happy.
Yeah, his team's pretty good, but
yeah,
whatever.
He does.
Best teams never win. That's why I'm looking.
That's very true.
I feel like my team last year was better than this year, but I'll probably win now because my team's not as good.
To note, I closed it. I mean, there's been a lot of like last year's playoff teams were kind of similar to this year's playoff teams. I mean, you were in, Steve was in. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Can you guys see it? No,
no,
not sharing yet.
Nope.
Nils wasn't in because I remember he was in contention for the dress.
Yeah, I forgot.
I forgot
who was in it. I was looking at it last night. I want to say a bunch of us were. Hold on, or a bunch of you guys were. I wasn't in it. Sorry,
I was not in the playoffs.
So Finkel wasn't. Wet Bandits, Andre, Ship Blizzard, Tiburon, and Arby's. That's a lot. 5 out of 6 last year, or this year. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
the only change was Steve and no.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Steve didn't make it last year, so Steve's in it. And then who else made it? Why am I drawing? Oh, Nils. Yeah. Nils. Wow. Damn. Starts for you guys tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm not even in it, and I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. I'm definitely rooting for somebody that hasn't won it yet to win it. I don't want to see Arby's has a couple. I don't want to see him win it. Nobody wants to see Ryan win it 2 years in a row. I'll tell you that.
No.
Nobody's rooting for that.
He's been way too active. I want him to crawl back into that hole.
Jesus. Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I love Ryan.
Yeah, I know. I just thought
love
it was funny.
you, buddy. I do love. Yeah. So the thing I do love about when Ryan wins, about him being more active, is the stuff he digs up from the league past is actually like pretty cool.
Wow.
How much, like the fact that he has the time to find that stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see like a segment he could like submit, even if he doesn't come on here, like send us something or send you guys something, and you could like present it every week.
Yeah, I think he would. That would be a good segment. We'll get him on actually to do that because I feel like he would have the time to dissect a lot of the, like you said, the nuances, the one-offs, a little bit of like the league, and that would be fun for him to present because he has obviously a lot of time to dig it up too, which is good. Like somebody needs to do that. You got to invest to dig all that stuff up. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
You got a lot of years on that.
Isn't that a position, like league historian?
Yeah,
that's his actual position.
Yeah.
That's his title.
That's good.
That's his title. Well, I'll say good luck, Rick. We'll keep the group chat on fire. I hope everyone's firing this weekend on the group chat because I'm going to be watching all you guys' matchups too. I mean, just as much as if we were in it. I mean, it's going to be fun to see who. Hope there's some good ones that come down the wire too. That's always intriguing. There's 2 Monday night games this week, so there's a lot of football to be played late. So
I bet that pussy Arby's throws his match so he doesn't have to face me.
Yeah. What's the seedings? Do you get a chance to play Arby's? You're going to be the 7th seed, obviously. Arby's is the 3.
There's always a chance, Gio.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you get up to the final.
Yeah, if you win, you play Aaron.
Could you imagine an Arby's Blizzard final?
The league's not ready for that. The league's not ready for that. Ticket sales would be skyrocketing, though. I will say that. I mean, that'd be the hottest.
Ad reads wouldn't be a problem at all. People would be knocking down the door to pay for this podcast.
I mean, we'd have to go for a few more hours because we'd have so many ads to read. So yeah, that'd be a fun one. I don't know. I guess that maybe next week when we have 4 teams, we can pick our finals. Maybe you'll be a part of that.
I'll be there.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, good luck, Rick. We'll possibly see you on next week if you advance.
Yeah, I'll be here. See you, boys.
Hell yeah. We got a good one tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday Night Football. It's going to be fun.
Yes. Yeah. We've had a couple. We're finally getting spoiled a little bit on Thursday nights. Last week's was great with the Packers lines, and then this week with the Rams.
Who do we got? Ooh, Rams Niners.
Rams Niners.
I'm sorry, Packers Lions. I don't know. I think I confused that when I said it. But
I was gonna say
Niners Rams. Yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
Okay. Yeah, because that could have some implications if it was Niners. Because Correndo probably wouldn't play if it was Thursday.
It is.
It is Thursday. It is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
That's huge.
I think he's leaning yes.
I think he practiced in the limited fashion, I think is what we said earlier. So it's possible, but I was
thinking it was Sunday.
That's a big shift for Nils.
He's not like Christian McCaffrey. Like, they don't give a shit if he gets hurt for like the rest of his
life. Right.
They're just gonna ride him into the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you better heal because we're not playing Patrick Taylor and Izzy fucking Abanikanda who just got there. So you know, Isaac, you're healthy. You're getting a pain injection and you're playing.
And I'm pretty sure. I mean, they're still in the hunt for the division out there, right? I mean, vaguely, like.
With a win, they'd be 7-7. The Rams would be 7-7. And then if Seattle loses, then they're only a game out. So
wow.
And then even if Arizona wins, then I think they're 7-7 too.
Because I think what I heard was if the Rams win out, which they play, I think they play somebody the last week of the season. The Rams
Arizona,
play Seattle.
Probably?
Seattle.
Oh, okay.
If the Rams win out, they control their own fate. They'll make the playoffs. They'll win the division. So the Rams, it's like a must-win game for the Rams too.
Got it.
Jeez, that's be sick. A sick game. All right,
dude,
boys.
The Rams are getting hot. Their offense is so fun.
Yeah, their defense is terrible, but their offense is insane.
Yeah,
they're fun to watch. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, right, Rams. Just sorry, one more thing. Before we hop off. Rams get at San Francisco this week, then they're at the Jets, then they're home against Arizona and home against Seattle. So,
okay, yeah, they can run the table on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, crazy way to go out. Who's going to run the table for the league title? That's the real question.
It could come from anywhere. Like it really could come where someone hits and someone puts up like a Jordan Addison 3-touchdown game out of nowhere. And, then Jacoby Myers scores 2 touchdowns and 150 yards and then he swings the week. So it's going to be crazy.
I want to add in, first off, phenomenal attire again from Rick. Really bringing the Christmas spirit tonight.
Can you hear it?
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, hear it. And, we'll see.
Yeah, as I'm talking about murdering dogs.
yeah,
for real.
That actually couldn't be any more fitting. You're wearing a Bluey sweatshirt for that.
That's fun.
I was watching a little Home Alone too. So, and to think, as these fantasy leagues wrap, it's always around Christmas time. So, what an absolutely phenomenal way to end your Christmas with a title, with a payout, and just a year to boast. I mean, it really is just phenomenal when you have the title in your hand. I'll say that. Snyder's has a couple. It's real nice. Real nice. Awesome. It's a great feeling.
Hell yeah. I was sweating.
I was about the money. Like we get
no.
It's like money's $1,000, $1,500 or whatever. Like I should care. Like we should care about that. I don't care. I just wouldn't like Lube is a bigger payout, Gio. Like you're in that other league too. Yes. It's probably like twice as much since we invested in Bitcoin. It's probably like $3,000. I don't care. I don't want to win Lube. I just want to win this league. This is all I care.
Yeah, there's a prestige to the other league. It's not an easy league to win, and there's only and I mean, hey, we just named 3 managers that are in out of the 7. So we only have a 12-man league. Phil hasn't won one, so what? Only 8 guys have won a title. I think that sounds about accurate. Yeah, over the course of time. So I mean, it's tough. It's not everyone's guaranteed, and I'm definitely rooting for you. And I'm definitely rooting for the Dre, and even Nils. Whoever wins the Dre and Nils matchup, I want to see them go far too. So, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
All right, boys.
All right.
Sleep tight, Rick.
I will.
Starts tomorrow. Playoffs, baby.
Yeah. Arby's is on my naughty list.
There it is. That's how we're gonna end the pod. All right, boys. Have a good night.
With that corny ass joke.
Peace.
See you, boys.